Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters. We're on season 8, episode 13, entitled Aftershocks. Fatima, we're still at the hospital, and Karen has the Braxton Hicks, the scare that she had last episode. Well, Fatima has to run interference between Zach and Aaron because they're going back and forth now that their little truce is out the window. They're just going back at each other's throats. So she tells them, like, listen, y'all need to chill out, and y'all also owe Karen an apology because this is too much stress for her and the babies. And then the doctor, he comes out and he tells them, like, listen, this is not the kind of stress that Karen nor the babies need, so I suggest y'all chill out and y'all talk it out. Like, this is too much. Y'all acting like kids. Y'all need to figure it out. And then Karen's like, as soon as the doctor walks away, Aaron and Zach, they get back to bickering, and she's like, listen, Aaron, come take me home. Like, y'all ain't heard a word that doctor said, and y'all still showing y'all ass, so I'm about to go ahead and head out. Like, I'm not going to let y'all, ruin this for me, not going to let this upset me. I'm going to go ahead and head out. All right, so back at the office, Hayden, and remember, everybody's kind of finding out that Penelope is being charged with the attempted unaliving of Gary, and so everybody's kind of coming into that information and making sense of what they think the outcome is. Hayden and Andy see that Penelope is being charged, like I said, and Hayden tells her, like, hey, now that Penelope is being charged, you should be glad that she's off the hook. And Andy's like, listen, I don't take any solace in that. Like, that would just be evil, but you wouldn't know nothing about that, right? And then they're kind of going back and forth. She's like, anyway, I'm just worried about, getting my spot back and blah, 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 blah. And he reminds her, like, hey, that's not very likely because your career is much like your love life is very soiled and it's very damaged. So, just trying to plant those seeds of doubt in Andy's mind. And so she calls, I think she calls Jordan to see what's going on with Penelope because she's trying to figure out, like, how she can be of assistance. And so that'll come back later in the episode. Sabrina is there, and she has found, like, some fake candles and just kind of set the table, set the mood in Danny's apartment for her. Because she does know, like, when you're coming down off of a panic attack, it takes a lot out of your physical body and you're going to be exhausted. A lot of people are sleepy. Like I mentioned in the last episode or in the last review for this show, that I know what panic attacks are all too well and all too familiar. If all panic attacks are not equal, let's just go ahead and say that. But if anybody's panic attacks are like mine's, you're also gasping for air, which is why it feels like a heart attack or something happening with your heart, because you're physically struggling to breathe, and that takes a lot out of your body because your body is essentially fighting for, whatever it is that it's looking for. And so you are exhausted. Like, everyone I've ever had, I've kind of had to lay down and eventually falling asleep. And if you know me, I don't go to bed no sooner than 1 to 2 a.m. every day. Doesn't even matter what time I go to bed. But you have to lay down and kind of give your body time to relax. And even, on some occasions I've had physical soreness, like in my chest and in my abs, like I did a workout, because your body is literally, like I said, fighting. Either way, you do see where she's giving like these big yawns and she's crashing, and so Sabrina literally tucks her into bed, and she was like, I'll be on the couch if you need anything. And Danny's like, girl, you don't have to do that. And she was like, I don't have to. I want to because you're my friend. I don't mind doing this. Either way, you go ahead and get some rest, and I'll be on the couch if you need anything. So she's going to look after her throughout the night. So that was nice. Okay. Aaron, he took Karen home, and now she gets to commiserate over everything that happened with Zach, going as far back as when she stormed into their house because he wasn't answering the phone because of the text messages, blah, 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 blah. And so she tells him pretty much everything other than mentioning the fact that Fatima was knocked up, because he did ask her, like, what was the inciting event that caused this false labor? And we know that it was the news that Fatima is with child, but she doesn't tell Aaron that information, which I appreciate, because that's not your business to tell. And then she does admit that it was nice for him it was nice to have him there at the hospital to defend her and stand up for her honor, blah, blah, blah. Then, they try to go in for a little kiss, and her mama shows up. She was like, girl, what are you doing? Because you said you wanted to get rid of him. And so she tells her mama, like, I was thinking about kind of lowering the guard that I have up and kind of changing the boundaries for Aaron a little bit. And her mom was like, all that is fine and well, but let me just she kind of puts it on her mind, like, hey, there's a lot that's happening with your body. Your body's going through a lot of changes, the hormones, all that good stuff. So maybe maybe not. You know, maybe that's just like your hormones making you have this attraction to him. Let's just take a step back and, you know, not get too entangled into this thing, because you might not really be yourself when you're pregnant. So yeah. All right, Andy goes to see Robin. She goes to see Robin, and she went there to ask him for a favor. Of course, the favor is her asking him to represent Penelope in her court case. And he thinks it's not a good idea because he represents Andy also. And so she goes to remind him, like, hey, I fired you, so it's really not a conflict at all, because you're not my lawyer. And so he tells her, like, listen, I know you fired me or whatever, but you weren't serious about your decision. And again, so there's a little bit more of that Gary-esque coming out, like, hey, I know you said what you said, and you said it with your chest, and you meant it, but you ain't really mean it, type of vibe, right? Basically trying to, like, reverse psychology, that thing, like, trick her into changing her mind using his words. That's my take on it. But he's like, well, let's put it this way. If I represent Penelope, what am I going to get in return? Like, what favor will I get in return for helping Penelope? And Andy's like, listen, your ego, it needs to be stroked all the time. And he was like, oh, more than my ego. Shut up, Robin. More than my ego needs to be stroked, right? And so Andy tells him, like, listen, I'm not doing a damn thing in return. And I'm just so proud of Andy in his last 2 episodes for putting her big girl panties on and standing up to these people. I doubt it'll last into the next season, but whatever. Anyway, she tells him, I'm doing less than nothing in exchange for a favor. As a matter of fact, the favor ain't even for me, it's for Jordan. So if you could do that, I would appreciate it. And he tells me, like, listen, I will take a meeting with Penelope. Can't promise that I'm going to be her representation, but, you know, I'll listen to her and see what I can come up with. Now, this might have been a very bad move, and we'll talk about that by the time she gets to Zach and Fatima's place, but keep that thought in mind. Okay, so the guys are sitting around talking to Jordan, and he tells them that Robin, Andy's ex, might be potentially represent Penelope. And they give him, you know, along the lines of what I'm thinking as well, that could definitely be a conflict of interest, but not because he's representing Andy anymore, but because his vested interest is still keeping Andy out of trouble and probably keeping his own nose clean. Because again, I'm of the mind that he did it. So whatever. And so they look up his credentials and they see that he's one of the top lawyers in the country. All these accolades and, you know, all these different things that come with being notified as a top lawyer in the country. And then they kind of don't make a decision, but it kind of sways them, like, hey, maybe Jordan's not that bad of an option, but still, we still gotta keep an eye on what's happening. So Jordan thinks that all of this whole thing that happened is his fault, because he should have never gotten involved with Andy. Because Gary is obsessed with her, and, you know, basically by proxy, by way of him being with her, him and his sister came under fire, you know, all that old crap that we've already talked about throughout the season. And of course that gives Rich room to drag Andy, because he hates Andy, because Andy broke his homeboy's heart, right? And he has to save his friend. Anyway, he's saying, like, listen, maybe her recommending Robin is just a guilt trip. It's an admission of guilt. Like, yeah, I might have had a role in ruining these people's lives. So let me throw them a bone and try to help them out of the situation that I put them in by way of being tangled up with Gary. And of course, Tony is like, I don't really think that's the case. I don't think that you know, that's that lady's motive. Either way. But even with all that happened, he did tell the guys, like, hey, even through all of this, I still love her. And they just kind of looking at him like, boy, what? Like, your life is ruined. Your sister's life is potentially ruined. Like, what? If you say so. I've never been that deeply in love. That's just me. That's just not me. You're not gonna take me down through that, and we still locked in. It ain't me. Okay. All right. Okay. Agent White, he shows up at the hospital, and Hudson is trying to run interference so he can't talk to Andy. And Andy wants to. I'm sorry. Agent White's not Andy. Start over. Agent White shows up at the hospital, and Hudson is trying to run interference so he can't talk to Gary. And then Agent White reminds him, like, listen, he was supposed to, you were very cooperative early in the process. Why are you stalling now? Like, what do you not want Gary to remember and not want Gary to tell me? He's like, no, that's not the case. He's just tired and blah, 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 blah. Agent White is like, boy, please. And he finally goes in to speak with Gary, and he uses some sort of visualization tactics. So basically, like, close your eyes, relax, just kind of replay the night and the event and kind of let me know what you're coming up with. And he remembers things, and he's saying, you know, hey, I saw, I was standing there, you know, look, last checks in the mirror, whatever, whatnot, and I saw her. So her is going to be a woman. I saw the woman come in, and so we're to insinuate or assume that the person that did stab him is a woman. Now, that's cool. All of that is fine and well, and I try to do a really good job of remaining impartial until I make my video, but I did see on the internet some people were saying that he said that it was Fatima. I still think it's Robin. It's either Robin or someone that Robin hired. It's Robin. I don't care what you say. You got to prove me otherwise. I think it's Robin. But check this out. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. Do y'all think Robin dressed up as a girl? Because that would be a damn near perfect crime. Truly. Honestly. Think about it. Everybody's looking for a woman, so that's going to point them to Andy, all of her friends, his fiance. That would point to anybody but Robin. So that would be interesting to find out, like, how he pulled it off. Because, again, my money's on Robin, or someone hired by Robin. But, yeah. Okay. Zach and Fatima call Andy over so that they can show her their amateur investigative quest that they got going on with the board. She tells them, like, listen, y'all don't believe Penelope did it either? And they're like, no. She's like, good, because I don't think she did it either. And then she mentions, like, yeah, I did tell Robin to potentially represent her to get her out of this thing, because I think she's innocent. And so Zach and Fatima kind of look at each other like, ugh. And she's like, what? Like, what are y'all talking about? And they revealed the board to her, and she's like, y'all got everybody on there that has a vested interest in Gary being taken off the map. Y'all even got me up here. She got offended, and they're like, listen, we got to do the work. We had to figure it out. We needed to try to help the officers so they don't pin it on us. And so they look at her and they tell her, like, hey, Robin to represent Penelope might not be the wisest choice. Again, kind of aligning with the guys where they were saying, like, the vested interest is if Robin did it, because everything kind of points to Robin. Like, you showed up the same day, you bailed Andy out, you stopped her from implicating herself, just all these different things. Like, a lot of this, you got her fired, so that will make her dependent on you to potentially get unfired or off suspension or whatever like this. Now, it's a whole lot of moving parts for him to do it by himself, but he has the access, the money, and said power. So that's what my vote is. And then, like I said, they show her the theory board that they created, and she's looking at things a little bit differently as well. She's kind of mulling over what they've told her, and we all kind of agree now that having Robin to represent Penelope might seal her fate and might be the nail in her proverbial coffin, unfortunately. So that is it. I don't know. I'll figure out by the time I do the next review next week. This week anyway, because today's Monday. How many more episodes we got, because I don't want to talk about this next season, and we're on episode 13, so we need to move it along. Either way, that has been season 8, episode 13. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and we'll talk about it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.